Journal.
Recognizing result document. Lil. TMT stonemason. THCR deacons investigating. The archdeacons. THCR deacon stonemason. Natrina Isla T. People. Glossary. Jacob Esler, the archdeacon of your using. Arrived at Pure Samian BC. Questioning people connected to Baron's death. He wants to question me in the chapter house, but not S. Killed Eileen Fadalrad. Akupa. The Baron and. Notes on S. The Baron's man, Miklos, has departed for. Inscrict to request the presence of the Most Reverend Jacob Esler, archdeacon of Freezing. He would be gathering evidence about the murder and interrogating those of us who might have information. Conflict Power 20. Brother Florian completed the examination of the Baron's body without me and said he was unable to determine the definitive cause of death. However, he did find a cryptic note tucked away in his clothing. F group. Section. LB. Pentiment.
Tower. Dormitory. Old Bail. Sacristy. Old Bail. Dormitory. Tower. Dormitory. Old Bailey. Church. Old Bailey. Dormitory. Church. Old Bailey. Church. Cloister. Dormitory. Kitchen and cemetery. Kitchen and cellar. Dormitory. Church. Sebat. Refectory. Sebat. Sebat says God bless you, Andreas. Do you have time to eat with me and some of the townspeople? Option 1 of 2 of course. I'll talk to Grit and see who she wants to come along. Option 2 of 2 not now, but perhaps later. Sebat says of course. I understand. God give you health. Player says until later. Sebat. Sebat says God bless you, Andreas. Do you have time to eat with me and some of the townspeople? Option 2 of 2 not now, but Sebat says of course. Player says until later. Sebat. Refectory. Cloister. Kitchen and cellar. Edok. Vokbird. Ruger. Matthew. Guy. Large garden. Guy. Guy says good day, Andreas. Matthew. Ruger says God bless you, Andreas. Matthew says God bless you, Andreas. Ruger. Player says when the brothers eat their meals, this is where the Vokbird says good day, Andreas. Edok. Edok says God bless you, Andreas. Kitchen and cellar. Cloister. Refectory. Courtyard and lavatorium. Courtyard and lavatorium. Cloister. 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 Courtyard and lavatorium. Large garden. Modest chapter house. Infirmary. Upper Abbey. Infirmary. Florian. Florian says God bless you, Andreas. Cloister. Infirmary. Chapter house. Cloister. Large garden. Player says a Dance of Death mural. Father Matthias had it painted a few years before his death. It's beautiful. Cloister. This bloodstain is awful. It must have been left by the Baron before he died, but how? A Dance of Death mural. Father Matthias had it painted of cloister. Chapter house. Monastery loquarium. Large garden. Courtyard and lavatorium. Journal.
Recognizing Bristal. Even still. The Baron and. Notes on S. Page. Maps. I would have to sneak in after the nuns have left for the day at Compline. I just need to find a way in. Opting Stalker 20. I decided to risk entering the library to search through the records of the sisters. There must be some clue here about which sister was harmed during Lord Rothschild's last visit. Near the top of the library I found the record of admission for the nuns. There was a note about Sister Matilda staying in the hermitage for several months after Baron Rothschild's last visit. I should ask Mother Cecilia or Sister Matilda about this. Rope. LP. Victory right parenthesis 2T. Adversary. People. Pentiment.
Courtyard and lavatorium. Refectory. Sebat. Church. Dormitory. Kitchen and cemetery. Kitchen and cellar. Dormitory. Church. Sebat. Refectory. Refectory. Sebat. Sebat says God bless you. Do you have time to eat with me and some of the townspeople? Option 1 of 2 of course. I'll talk to Sebat says at the shrine to St. Moritz. I'll see you there. Player says until then. Sebat says oh my. Andreas. Player says yes. Sebat says, are these all of the mothers from Tassing and their children? Player says, well, no. I don't think it's all of them. Grit says, Helena if Aaron couldn't make it. It's a long walk up here in her condition. And Hetty said Hans was too big for stories. Sebat says stories. Option 1 of 2, I may have said something about your books. Option 2 of 2, stories of your homeland. Option 1 of 2, Berthold says I like stories. Marie says yes, maybe a little too much. Sebat says ha. Alright. I can tell a story, but first let us pray together and eat. O Lord, thank you for bringing us together as you brought Jesus to his disciples on the road to Emmaus. With the breaking of bread between us, let us recognize each other as Christians and rejoice in our salvation through you. Amen. And else, player says amen. Sebat says, and I thank you and your husband for this bread, Grit. Grit says, my Ulrich always says that bread brings people together. Option 1 of 2, I don't know. I think we could see some real trouble in Tassing if you ever ran out of rot. Option 2 of 2, I missed this when I was in Flanders. Option 1 of 2, select food item to eat. Almonds. Rye bread. Grit says, haha, oh you and Father Thomas. You do love that rot. Option 1 of 2, I love all peasant food. Option 2 of 2, I just think it's an underappreciated bread. Option 1 of 2, I love all peasant food. Clara says, I'm glad to hear it, your lordship. Brigitte says, our food has the approval of a Nuremberger, ladies. Option 1 of 2, oh, you know what I mean. Option 2 of 2, be really uptight and don't respond. Option 1 of 2, oh, you know what I mean. Clara says, we're only teasing, Andreas. Sebat says, we have a bread in my home that we call injera. We make it thin, round, and wide and we put our food on top of it. We eat it with almost every meal. As you love the bread of your home, so I miss mine. Select food item to eat. Almonds. Grit says, oh, what's the recipe? Maybe we could make it. Sebat says, thank you, but no. We use a fine grain that does not grow here, called teff. Option 1 of 2, surely someday you'll go home and can have your fill of it. Option 2 of 2, I hope you find our local bread satisfying, brother Sebat. Sebat says, I do enjoy it, perhaps too much. I am becoming too accustomed to life in Rome, even life in these mountains. In truth, I can no longer remember the taste of injera, not even the feeling of it in my mouth. It is the great danger that comes with the blessing of travel, living a life between worlds. Select food item to eat. Sheep's milk cheese. Berthold says, I don't want to talk about bread anymore. It's so boring. Ursula says, Bria. PPPPFFFF. Marie says, don't be rude, Bert. Sebat says, I did say I would tell a story. Children, have you ever seen a Bible? Anna says, Father Tom. Berthold says, yeah. Father Thomas has one. It's huge. Paul says, my dad has one. It was printed in Bamberg. Sebat says, very good. This is a Bible from my home that I brought to give to the abbot. Andreas, do you have a favorite story to illustrate from the Bible? Option 1 of 5, Adam and Eve at the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Option 2 of 5, Jacob wrestling with the angel. Option 3 of 5, the Annunciation, when Gabriel appears to Mary. Option 4 of 5, Elijah and the chariots of fire. Option 5 of 5, Christ being taken down from the cross. Option 4 of 5, Elijah and the chariots of fire. Sebat says yes. The spectacle of a prophet carried bodily into heaven. It is always a wonder to see how different artists illustrate it. Now then, children, do you know the story of Jesus feeding the multitudes? Berthold says fish and loaves. Anna says my mom and dad make loaves. Sebat says this is from our Bible, how we tell the story of how Jesus fed thousands from only a few fish and a few loaves of bread. Anna says, why is everyone brown? Sebat says, because where I am from, everyone looks like me. Anna says, what? Sebat says, because we are all as God has made us. I know Tassing seems big to you, but the world is so much bigger than we can imagine. There are many people of many different colors all over the world. There are places where no one looks like you or me. Anna says, really? Player says it's true. In Flanders I saw ships arrive from the New World. The people look and dress very differently from us. Differently from Brother Sebat. They make art out of gold that is so beautiful it outshines the greatest works of the Christian world. Berthold says, Brother Sebat, did you know the Baron who was murdered? Marie says, Bert. Sebat says. Player says it came up when I was visiting the druggers. Option 1 of 3 I needed someone to talk to. Option 2 of 3 I think he's old enough to understand death. Option 3 of 3 I am sorry, Marie. Option 1 of 3 Marie says and we were happy to have you. We can't shield them from the world forever, Andreas. Sebat says I did not know him, Bert. But do you know the story of Lazarus? Berthold says No. Sebat says he was a friend of Jesus. He became sick and he died. Ursula says die. Der. Anna says hat. Sebat says but Jesus brought his followers to Lazarus' tomb. He prayed to God and when they opened the tomb, Lazarus emerged, returned from the dead. Berthold says Jesus can bring people back from the dead. Sebat says he can, Bert. One day Jesus will bring us all back from the dead. Everyone who has ever lived and died will come together and be resurrected on Judgment Day. Option 1 of 2 hey. Option 2 of 2 say nothing. Option 1 of 2 hey. Paul says even the Romans. Sebat says yes, the Romans too. Sebat says why did you ask about the Romans? Paul says I saw one come out of their tomb, like Lazarus. Elle says what do you mean, Paul? Paul says well the ruins below the mill, they're Roman. And they all died a long time ago. But I saw one come out the other night. They were in white, like Lazarus. Elle says let's stop telling stories, Paul. And you shouldn't have been outside at night. Sebat says Andreas, what does he mean? Option 1 of 3 I don't know. It's troubling, to be sure. Option 2 of 3 I think I may have seen something similar the other evening. Option 3 of 3 I know of texts, rituals that an educated man could use to attempt to summon a spirit. Option 2 of 3 Sebat says what, really? Where? Option 1 of 2 the same place, by the Roman ruins. Player says maybe Paul did see a spirit of some kind. Sebat says. It's a very dire omen if that is what he saw. I will pray on this. Apologies for that, ladies. But thank you for sharing a meal with me today. I will be leaving for Rome soon, but I am glad to have spent some time with you and your children. Bert says thank you, Brother Sebat. It was wonderful. Don't forget to stop by the bakery before you go. I'm sure my husband will want to see you before you go. Sebat says I will. God grant you all health. Player says I need to go to the chapter house to meet with the archdeacon. Upper Abbey. Shrine. Lower Abbey. Church. Cloister. Upper Abbey. In Ulrich, chapter house. Cloister. Jacob says please state your name for our records. Option 1 of 3 Andreas Mahler, journeyman artist from Nuremberg. Option 2 of 3 Andreas, son of Joseph Mahler, master artist from Nuremberg. Option 3 of 3 Andreas Mahler, artist, recently of Ghent. Option 1 of Jacob says what is an artist doing in Kiersau Abbey? Option 1 of 3 the Abbey still has some commissions from wealthy patrons and I need the money before I return to Nuremberg. Option 2 of 3 I ask myself that sometimes, haha. Option 3 of 3 why don't you ask the abbot? Option 1 of 3 the abbot Jacob says Arnold, please write that down. I think we're ready to begin. Arnold says of course, your reverence. Jacob says now then, Master Mahler, what was your relation to Lorenz, the Baron Rothvogel? Option 1 of 2 I only knew him for a day, but we were on friendly terms. Option 2 of 2 incidental acquaintances, nothing more. Option 1 of 2 I only knew him. Jacob says do you feel you had a sense of him as a person? Option 1 of 2 yes, your reverence. Jacob says how would you characterize him? Option 1 of 3, a fine man, a lover of art and knowledge. Option 2 of 3, confident, overbearing. Used to. Option 3 of 3, a nobleman, for all of the good and ill that goes along with that title. Option 2 of 3, confident, overbearing. Used to getting what he wants. Option 1 of 3, a fine man. Jacob says that was the opinion of Father Gernot and the Lady Salome as well. Do you believe everyone regarded him with the same warmth? Option 1 of 2, yes. Why wouldn't they? Option 2 of 2, no, your reverence. Option 1 of 2, yes. Why wouldn't they? Jacob says because unless someone murdered him out of an excess of love, it makes my presence here somewhat difficult to explain. The Baron Rothvogel was murdered here, in this very room. Someone did it? Father Gernot believes it was one of his monks, Brother Piero. I have met with Brother Piero and questioned him at length. While it seems unlikely that a man of his age and temperament could murder the Baron, he was discovered in flagrante delicto. Option 1 of 2, say nothing. Option 2 of 2, he wasn't, though. The Baron was already dead. Jacob says stop talking. If you wish to advocate on behalf of Brother Piero, I suggest shutting your mouth until I ask you a question. Piero had reasons to resent the Baron. The loss of his work, the insistence on discussing the writings of the troublemaker from Wittenberg. And as for his age and infirmity, I myself have read of many cases in which a man of modest strength succumbs to the temptations of the devil. Once seized by a devilish fever, the poor sinner gains an infernal power that allows him to inflict grievous wounds. Sometimes fatal. What I am saying is that in spite of the curious circumstances, Brother Piero is the most plausible perpetrator of this most vile act. I understand that you are on friendly terms with Brother Piero. You also interacted with the Baron both in the town and the abbey. Did you witness anything that suggests someone else could have murdered Baron Rothvogel? Option 1 of 3, Lucky Steinauer argued with the Baron. Option 2 of 3, the abbey's prior, Ferenc, was behaving suspiciously the day of the Baron's arrival. He may have had a motive. Option 3 of 3, a local thief, Martin Bauer. Option 2 of 3, the abbey's prior. Jacob says that is an extraordinary claim, Andreas. The abbot speaks highly of the prior and he oversees both your and Brother Piero's work, does he not? Option 1 of 2, yes, your reverence. Option 2 of 2, yes, but Prior Ferenc's role in the scriptorium has little bearing on his motive. Jacob says an extraordinary claim requires extraordinary evidence for me to take it seriously. Why should I take the word of an artist over a respected officer of this abbey? Player says I can provide evidence of Prior Ferenc's motive. Jacob says please do so. Option 1 of 2, on the day that the Baron arrived, I secretly observed Prior Ferenc in the scriptorium. Option 2 of 2, Baron Rothvogel and Prior Ferenc were exchanging letters about performing a magical ritual during the Baron's visit. Option 1 of 2, on the day that the Baron arrived. Option 2 of 2, Jacob says you have proof of this. Player says I have an imprint of a letter that the Prior wrote to the Baron. In it, the Prior mentions that he will not perform a ritual for the Baron, even if the Baron does follow through on a threat to implicate him to inquisitors in Innsbruck. Jacob says an implication of necromancy is a serious matter. The Prior's position would have been in peril, possibly even his life. And how do you believe Prior Ferenc would have killed the Baron? In a test of strength for the Baron's knife, it seems unlikely that the Prior could have prevailed. Option 1 of 2, what if the Prior were aided by infernal means? Option 2 of 2, true. Jacob says is there anything else to say about the Prior? Option 1 of 2, on the day that the Baron arrived, I secretly observed Prior Ferenc in the scriptorium. Jacob says was this an intentionally covered observation? Option 1 of 2, no, I was working alone and had dropped something on the floor. Option 2 of 2, no, it wasn't planned. Option 1 of 2, no, I was working alone and had dropped something on the floor. The Prior did not know I was there. Jacob says very well. Continue. Player says he wrote a note, a cipher, in a book. When I deciphered the note with a volvel it pointed me to a grave in the cemetery. Jacob says this is already quite elaborate, Master Mailer. How does it connect to the Prior's motive? Player says I found, buried in the grave, a number of occult items. A knife, a plate, and a cup, all engraved with magical symbols. The earth had been freshly turned. The Prior had buried them there the day of the Baron's arrival. Jacob says is there anything else to say about the Prior? Player says no, your reverence. Jacob says very well. Who else may have wanted to see the Baron dead? Option 1 of 3, Lucky Steinauer argued with the Baron. Option 2 of 3, a local thief, Martin Bauer. Option 3 of 3, I can think of no one else who could have cause to harm the Baron, your reverence. Option 2 of 3, a local thief, Martin Bauer. Option 1 of 3, Lucky Steinauer argued with the Baron. Option 3 of, Jacob says very well. Are you aware of anything else that might shed some light on this case? Player says has Brother Florian told you about the note he found in the Baron's clothing? Jacob says yes, Brother Florian explained how he came to find it and told me its contents. Master Edeljager has entered his testimony in our register. I don't understand the implications. Who is the innocent? Player says lie another mystery, it seems. Jacob says, do you believe the murderer wrote it? Player says whoever wrote it was a talented scribe. Jacob says I understand Gearsaw has two, the elderly brother Edok and a younger brother Guy. Player says to be frank, your reverence, neither man has the skill to write in this way. There's something else about it, too. The style is just different. It's unlike Edok and Guy's writing. Unlike mine. Jacob says yes, well, whatever the particulars, it seems it will remain a mystery that stands apart from the commission of the murder. Option 1 of 2 unfortunately, there is more to tell. Option 2 of 2 of course, your reverence. Option 1 of 2 unfortunately, there is more to tell. I found more notes. Player says notes written in the same hand, on the same type of parchment, to those who had a motive to kill the Baron. Jacob says that is deeply troubling, but again, beyond the bounds of my investigation. In any case, I thank you for bringing it to my attention. Player says of course, your reverence. Jacob says until next time. Option 1 of 2 until then. Option 2 of 2 hopefully there won't be a next time. No offense. Option 1 of 2 until then. Peter says Andreas. I didn't think you were coming to this. Option 1 of 3 I didn't think I was, either. I suppose I wanted to see how this ends after all. Option 2 of 3 well, here I am. Option 3 of 3 what? I didn't want to miss this. Option 1 of 3 I didn't think I was, either. I suppose I wanted to see how this ends after all. Clara says it was the prior of the abbey, if you can believe it. Did you ever talk with him in the abbey, Andreas? Big Yerk says you missed the trial, Andreas. That archdeacon read all of the charges and found him guilty. Option 1 of 3 I worked with him almost every day, Clara. I didn't know he had murder in him. Option 2 of 3 I don't think Ferenc did it. The archdeacon got it wrong. Option 3 of 3 I worked with him every day. He was obsessed with dark magic. It was option 2. Option 1 of 3 I worked with him almost every. Peter says oh, they want you to think they're so pious, but all they're here to do is slowly drain the life out of this town. Clara says calm down, Peter. Eva says oh, here comes the procession. Otto says did I miss anything? Eva says no, you're fine. Otto says Andreas. Option 1 of 2 Otto. Option 2 of 2 nod. Option 1 of 2 Otto. Matthew says Agnes DEI. Ferenc says I didn't do this. Matthew says Agnes DEI. Ferenc says this can't be happening. Matthew says Agnes DEI. He tolis peccata mundi, dona nobis pacem. Franz says running like a chick. Ulrich says give a man a moment. Lenhart says pathetic. Arnold says silence. Silence. I order the executioner to carry out his duty. I warrant him peace and safe conduct, whatever may befall him. Option 1 of 2 watch. Option 2 of 2 look away. Option 1 of 2 watch. Ferenc says my god. My god. Richard says hold still. Ferenc says no. 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 Richard says my lord judge, have I executed well? Arnold says you have executed as judgment and law have required. Richard says for that I thank God and my master who has taught me such art. Gernot says I know this was your doing, Andreas. Option 1 of 3 you know it was only a matter of time before Ferenc was caught for his interests. Option 2 of 3 take it up with the archdeacon. It has nothing to do with me. Option 3 of 3 if you want to blame someone, blame yourself. You turned a blind eye to his activities for years. Gernot says how dare you. Do you understand the pressure I'm under to keep this abbey together? Option 1 of 2 say nothing. Option 2 of 2 does that mean you should ignore the fact that your prior studies black magic? Or that he killed a man? Gernot says you are no longer welcome at Gearsaw, Andreas Mailer. I will send your final payment to the Gerthas. May you have a long and successful career in Nuremberg, and may you never travel this way again. Piero says, Andreas, has the time come for you to leave us? Option 1 of 2, I am afraid so, brother Piero. Option 2 of 2, yes, and none too soon. Option 1 of 2, I am afraid so, brother Piero. Player says, this farewell will have to be brief. Father Gernot made it clear I was no longer welcome at Gearsaw. Piero says, I pray that time will soften Father Abbott's heart. I hope he eventually realizes you were only trying to help me. This is a sad parting, but inevitable. I had hoped you would stay a bit longer. But the world needs you more than Gearsaw does. You have grown beyond this old abbey and become a master in your own right. I will miss you, my son. Option 1 of 2, as I will you. Piero says, come, your masterpiece is complete. May I see it one last time before you go? Option 1 of 2, please. I value your assessment. Option 2 of 2, I suppose. It's not everything I hoped for. Option 1 of 2, please. Piero says, the opinion of one old monk matters little. All the same, I am excited to see it finished at last. Piero says, it is a masterpiece, truly worthy of the word. And it appears you took my advice to heart. Player says, what advice was that? Piero says, to put yourself into the work. Not just to interpret another artist's work, but to transform it into something true. This shows the world as it is, as you have seen it, even if it is not what we may want to see. Though it is not my place to say so, I am proud of you, Andreas. Player says, what's this? Piero says, a scrap of parchment. Piero says, do not return here. A warning. Piero says, whose hand is this? It doesn't look like Brother Edoc's or Brother Guy's. Option 1 of 2, Brother Florian, and I found a similar note in the Baron's clothing. Option 2 of 2, it's strange, but nothing to be concerned over. Piero says, I will trust in your judgment, Andreas. Still, don't take the message to heart. I hope that you will have time to visit me once or twice in your travels before the Lord takes me. Option 1 of 2, I will, as often as I can. Option 2 of 2, I will try. Piero says, that is all I ask. Casper says, are you alright, Master Andreas? Player says, what? Casper says, are you alright, Master Andreas? Player says, yes, thank you. I was just remembering him. Trying to, anyway. It doesn't come easily anymore. Casper says, oh. Would you like me to leave you alone? Player says, no, Casper. It's not necessary. There's nothing to be done about it now. It's too late. Like so many things. Guy says, Andreas Mailer. I never expected to see your face here again. Have you been in Nuremberg for these last 7 years? Player says, no. Nuremberg for a few years, but I received some lucrative commissions abroad. Option 1 of 4, Poland. Andreas knows some Polish, bits of Czech and Hungarian, and can reference cultural touchstones from Krakow, Prague, and Buda. Pick a background that will affect your Option 2 of 4, England. Andreas knows some English and can reference cultural touchstones from London and other parts of Britain. Option 3 of 4, France. Andreas knows French and can reference cultural touchstones from Paris, Tours, and Dijon. Option 4 of 4, Aragon. Andreas knows some Spanish and bits of Arabic and can reference cultural touchstones from Barcelona and Valencia. Option 2 of 4, England. Andreas knows some English and can reference. I was in London, mostly. I was well received there and painted portraits for the nobility and prominent merchants. Guy says, did you encounter any Jews among your clients? Player says, no, though there was rumor of a home for Jewish converts to Christianity in the city. What? Guy says, I had heard that a handful of physicians were naturalized as citizens after the expulsion. I wondered if they might have found a home in England after their recent ejections from Portugal and Navarre. Player says, I'm surprised you care at all. Guy says, In spite of your extensive travels and success, you're still not welcome at Gearsaw. The abbot hasn't forgotten what happened. 7 years isn't all that long. Option 1 of 2 I was just passing through on my way back to Nuremberg. I thought I'd stop in. Option 2 of 2 I simply wanted to pay my respects to an old friend. Surely you understand that. Option 1 of 2 I was just passing through on my way back to Nuremberg. I thought I'd stop in. Guy says well, you've stopped. Now you have to go. Father Abbot's instructions were clear. Option 1 of 3 fine. Tell Father Gernot I'll be staying at the land house in town for a night or two before moving on. Option 2 of 3 make a rude gesture and leave. Option 3 of 3 I didn't get Ferenc killed, if that's what this is about. Option 1 of 3 fine. Tell Father Gernot I'll be staying at the land house in town for a night or two before moving on. Guy says the golden hand? I'll tell him, but I can't imagine he'll care. Casper says why is he so rude? Guy says God bless you. Now, be off. Casper says that monk seemed unhappy to see you, Master Andreas. Why is the abbot so angry with you? Player says toward the end of my stay in Tassing, there was a murder at Gearsaw Abbey, a nobleman. Father Gernot panicked and accused my friend, Brother Piero, of committing the crime. Option 1 of 2 I helped convince the investigating archdeacon that another monk was responsible, Prior Ferenc. Option 2 of 2 you know, it was a long time ago. I really don't want to talk about it. Option 1 of 2 I helped, player says he was executed for the crime. Casper says you got someone killed. Option 1 of 2 yes. Option 2 of 2 it was that or let an innocent man die. Option 1 of 2 yes. Casper says I had no idea you were involved in something so exciting. Why didn't you mention it before? Well, I suppose it must have been a hard situation about it the abbot is still this mad at you. Option 1 of 2 I had to make some difficult choices. Maybe they were the wrong ones. I've had option 2 of 2 hard, yes, but also exhilarating. Option 1 of 2 I had to make some difficult choices. Maybe they were the wrong ones. I've had to live with that. Casper says why did we come here if you're not welcome? Player says I wanted to pay my respects to Brother Piero. And, to be honest, I'm not looking forward to returning to Nuremberg. This commission, it's an obscene vanity piece under the pretext of a religious scene. My patrons just want to celebrate themselves and their wealth. I dread each new commission more than the last. Every step I take toward home is agonizing. Casper says but, Master, you're famous and rich. Your work is wonderful. When I saw your altarpiece in Nuremberg, I begged my father to help me become your apprentice. I don't understand how you could accomplish all that you have and be unhappy. Option 1 of 3 I know. It must be hard to believe. I was once very much like you. Option 2 of 3 all that I have accomplished is my work, yes. Now I am left hollow, with nothing else left. Option 3 of 3 I thought I wanted to be like my father, like my brothers. I thought that was my dream. Player says once, I wanted this life so much that it consumed my every waking thought. I don't know if I've changed or if what I wanted was never really real. Maybe I've been a fool this whole time. Option 1 of 2 I want life as an artist to be better for you, Casper. Learn from option 2 of 2 so this is what you have to look forward to, Casper. A life of disappointment. Option 1 of 2 I want life as an artist to be better for you, Casper. Learn from my mistakes, alright? Casper says alright. Yes, Master Andreas. Option 1 of 2 I shouldn't be burdening you with such dark thoughts, Casper. Option 2 of 2 well. Player says come, let's visit my old friend Klaus. It's been too long. Casper says as you like, Master Andreas. Golden Hand Inn. Go to bed. Player says the room is sparse compared to what I'm used to. Golden Hand Inn. Golden Hand Guest Room. Golden Hand Guest Room. Hannah. Hannah. Hannah says hello, Andreas. How are you enjoying your stay? Option 1 of 3 it's been wonderful, Hannah, thank you. Option 2 of 3 well enough. Option 3 of 3 the room is not what I'm used to, honestly. Option 1 of 3 it's been wonderful, Hannah, thank you. Hannah says oh good. You're in the best room we have. I'm glad it's to your liking. Was there anything else? Player says no, thank you. Until later. Hannah says until then. Hannah. Hannah. Golden Hand Guest Room. Golden Hand Guest Room. Killian. Nico. Samuel. Samuel. Samuel says hello, Andreas. Nico. Nico says master. Mailer, is it? Hello and welcome to the Golden Hand. I am Nico Berger. I own this land house and run it with my wife, Hannah, and our son, Killian. I believe my boy helped you to your room. Is it to your liking? Option 1 of 3, it's lovely, thank you. Nico says I am glad to hear it, glad to hear it. When you arrived in town, one of the locals said you lived here a few years back. Option 1 of 2, yes. I worked for the Abbey as an artist. Nico says I see. I heard that you were involved in solving a murder. Option 1 of 3, yes, out of necessity. Option 2 of 3, are you trying to ask me to solve a murder? Option 3 of 3, say nothing. Option 1 of Nico says I heard it was the prior at the Abbey, that the Baron was a sacrifice in some diabolical spell the brother was casting. Option 1 of 3, alright. Nico says I just find it to be an interesting story. Well, I should let you get to your day. Until later. Player says until then. Nico. Killian. Killian says good day, Master Mailer. Meadow. Golden Hand Inn. Golden Hand Inn. Otto says just do it. You know it's the right thing. I don't understand why this is so hard for you. Martin says Otto, I'm scared. It's dangerous to cross the Abbot. Otto says would you prefer the alternative? Martin says you don't need to do that, Otto. I understand, I'm just saying. Otto says. Andreas Mailer? It's good to see you again, old friend. Player says Otto. You're looking well. This is my apprentice, Casper Ziegler, from Salzburg. Casper says good day. Otto says that answers that. I thought he might be your son. Option 1 of 3, we don't grow them that fast, even in Nuremberg. Option 2 of 3, no, not yet. Option 3 of 3, I've only been married 7 years, Otto. Option 1 of 3, we don't grow them that fast. Otto says they grow fast enough around here. Eva and I just had our first. Little Otto, though we call him it's. Option 1 of 2, congratulations to you both. That's wonderful news. Otto says thank you. It's been a trial with Dad gone, but Clara and Ursula help out where they can. Option 1 of 3, he lived a surprisingly long time, considering his profession and previous stroke. Option 2 of 3, I am sorry to hear about your father. Option 3 of 3, shame. Option 1 of Otto says not long enough for me. Not long enough for us. Dr. Stahl said it was another stroke, while he was sleeping, thankfully. I know Eva wrote to you about my father's death, Andreas. Why didn't you write back? Option 1 of 2, I am sorry, things got busy after I left Tassing. Option 2 of 2, sigh and look at the ground. Option 1 of Martin says sorry to interrupt, but I should be heading back. Option 1 of 2, I feel like I should remember your face, but I can't place it. Option 2 of 2, Otto, aren't you going to introduce me to your friend? Option 1 of 2, I feel, Martin says don't trouble yourself. It's me, Martin. Remember? Option 1 of 2, yes, of course. Hello, Martin. Martin says hello. Sorry to run, but I have to get these sheep back to the farm. As much as I love whiling away the hours in the meadow, I have a lot to attend to. Otto, I'll see you at the meeting later. Andreas, until later. Option 1 of 2, until then. Option 2 of 2, good to see you, Martin. Otto says pain in my ass. Option 1 of 3, what's this about a meeting? Option 2 of 3, is something happening in town? Option 3 of 3, I can't believe how much Martin's changed. Option 2 of 3, is something happening in. Option 3 of 3, I can't believe how much Martin's changed. Otto says true. He's like the prodigal son. Took over his father's farm after France died. He's been a much better husband to Brigitte and provider for Kat. Option 1 of 3, what's this about, a meeting? Option 2 of 3, is something happening in town? Option 3 of 3, France died. How's little Wolf doing? Otto says France's heart gave out. Local legend says he was screaming at Kat and he dropped dead. Not that I want anyone to suffer, but you were sad to see that man go. And little Wolf, he died a few months after you left. I think Martin still feels guilty about it. Option 1 of 2, what's this about, a meeting? Option 2 of 2, is something happening in town? Option 1 of 2, what's this about, a meeting? Otto says you picked an interesting time to visit. Come by the town commons in a while. I think you'll be interested to hear what I have to say. Option 1 of 3, I didn't realize you were in the business of giving speeches. Option 2 of 3, actually, I was just on my way to see Klaus. Option 3 of 3, I'll consider it. Thanks. Otto says I hope to see you there. Until later. Mill. Petschlaw. Mill. Player says the many-petaled cinquefoil. It grows so easily some consider it a weed. Options. Main quit. Cancel.
Recognizing result document. Last task. CSGO. Seeken. Case. Camps. Case. Pentiment. Recognizing assets. Last task. CSGO. Seeken. Case. Camps. Pentiment.
Options. Mill. Petschlaw. Forest. Lower Abbey. Forest. Petschlaw. Mill. The many-petaled cinquefoil. It grows so easily some consider it a weed. Mill. Meadow. Roman ruins. Muller House. Church and Outer Farms. Church and Druck Muller House. Roman ruins. Meadow. Mill. Petschlaw. Forest. Lower Abbey. Upper Abbey. Lower Abbey. Church. Cloister. Cloister. Journal.
Recognizing result ultimate. Listen in. $50 NC1 new island. Tuin. Night. Elam. Jordan. Libby Rose. Livers. It feels strange being back in Pierce's back in. Passing. I haven't talked to anyone here in years. I should stop by Claus's house to see how he's been. Said. I ran into Otto Zimmerman and Martin. Bauer having a discussion in the meadow. Martin returned from his adventures as a changed man. Otto told me to come to the commons later. I left there after I passed to Claus. Rope. Arthur with dollars ran around People glossary. People Arthur with dollars ran. I ran into Otto Zimmerman and Martin. Pentiment.
Cloister. Options. Main quit. Cancel.
Recognizing June 22nd. 1st-9D. Good game. Your game was last saved 42 seconds ago. Pentiment.
Options.